Welcome back, guys, to evidence. That's what this is. It's evidence. It's exposure. It might be a little bit soon to make a video like this, but I think it will help me feel a little bit better to talk about some things. And it's just gonna kind of reinforce the last video that I made and the things that I was talking about what this industry's all about. And this particular company that I'm stuck at right now and the way that they operate. And I haven't really talked a lot about this because I've just been trying to protect my job, but I'm not in the SAP program anymore. And I guess that if I had more time to look for jobs, I might actually be able to find another job. I mean, I don't know if that's the right move at this point. I mean, I wish it was the right move, but I honestly don't know if it is the right move after talking to some other companies. But I told you guys that I needed to get away from this company, and I wasn't joking when I said that. And that's not something that I would just say out of spite. Even though, yes, this company, it has repeatedly pissed me off on a daily basis, and the way that they do things. It's affected me on a psychological level. It's put me in an extremely vulnerable position multiple times. And the one thing that I will say about this company is that at least the guy that I'm working for isn't fake. Well, he kind of is. He's kind of that Mr. Nice Guy. He's kind of got that routine going on, but as far as covering up how greedy he is, he doesn't try to do that. Usually, he's pretty blunt in the choices that he makes and the impact that they have on me. And he doesn't try to cover it up. He doesn't try to hide it. For the longest time, I avoided trying to talk to him about decisions that he makes. And at this point, if he does something that's questionable to me, I want to know his logic behind it and his reasoning. When it comes to putting me in a messed up spot, putting me under unnecessary pressure, he's not shy about that at all. He doesn't hold back. And the only thing that motivates him is money. But I will say that he doesn't have that facade that I was talking about that every other company that I've worked for has with all the safety crap and shoving it down your throat. He's just blatantly greedy. He is openly greedy. And I know that's exactly the same way that every other company is, except like I said before, they try to cover up that fact with safety. But I've been in this industry long enough to know it. When I see greed, I know greed. I can smell it. And a lot of the decisions that this guy is making, a lot of the loads that he dispatches, he puts on me, I'll just put it in these words. He dispatches loads like somebody who throws shit at a wall, hoping that it will stick instead of falling off and into a fan. And that's how this guy operates. And that's how this guy has forced me to operate for over the past year. It's actually been more than a year now since I started working here. And I've just had to deal with it. Now, he's put me in extremely sketchy situations with my hours of service. I've been fighting him with this the entire time, and he'll put loads on me that are not compatible with my hours of service, and then he expects me to deal with it and make it work to the best of my ability. That's basically how it's gone. I've had to make it work. So in that previous video, when I said I've been subjected to a lot of things that owner-operators have been subjected to, that's one way that I was referring to. It is just stuff like that. This guy has no problem sleeping at night knowing that he's running the dog shit out of me, pushing me over the edge and basically demanding that I get things done that are physically impossible. And he has a freaking CDL. He knows what the rules are. But when it comes to him making money, he doesn't care about the rules. He cares about the money. And I've never worked for a company like this one before. I've heard about them. I've heard about plenty of them, but I've never actually been subjected to one. I've never been this vulnerable before as a truck driver. And so if I were to tell you guys that this guy has no problem sleeping at night while simultaneously abusing my CDL, or at least trying to abuse my CDL, that would be an understatement even. But I guess this is what I deserve, right? I deserve to be treated like a freaking tool instead of a human being. I deserve this. I brought this on myself, right? I took advantage of the trust that the industry had for me. I took advantage of it and I abused that trust. So I'm just getting what I deserve, right? I deserve this. You know, even though I've worked my ass off for the past over 8 years as a truck driver, and I have done everything right. And I have obeyed all the rules except for one stupid rule. And I have been very profitable for multiple companies. And I've never caused a catastrophe, a tragedy, or anything else for any company out there that I've worked for. And like I've even told you guys in the past, some of these companies, there's been more than one of them, that the day I left, they were literally begging me not to go. And I'm not saying that to brag, I'm just saying that's kind of how it went. That's all I'm gonna say to you about it. I'm not gonna give you details other than to tell you that over the past year, I have been manipulated into situations. My CDL has been abused, and I've been treated like a tool instead of a human being. For the past year, I have worked having health problems, having legitimate health problems. I mean, things that I should be taking care of as far as my health goes, including my mental health, that I have had to put to the side. Now, there's one specific health issue that I have that is a requirement, like it's a mandatory thing. I have to take care of it every year. I have to get a med card once a year. The standard is once every 2 years, but because I have this particular health diagnosis, it requires me to get a med card every year. And so that's what I do, and I'm having to pay out of pocket to make sure that I get active updated treatment and everything else so that I can qualify to keep my med card. Well, I've been having to pay out of pocket for that because I haven't had health insurance for the past year because this company doesn't provide it. That's not the only thing this company doesn't provide. This company doesn't provide any benefits whatsoever. No paid time off, no holiday pay, nothing like that. They've offered me no raise, nothing. I'm still making the same amount that I made, which is load percentage. So the load percentage hasn't changed since I started here over a year ago with zero experience. That's another thing they didn't provide for me, guys. They didn't provide training, which I already told you that. And I've done nothing but stick my neck out repeatedly for this company. I've actually paid out of pocket for fuel to put in this freaking truck. They did reimburse me, but I've actually had to use my own credit card to put fuel in this truck because they literally didn't have any means of covering a tank of fuel, so I had to pay for it myself and wait for them to pay me back for it. I mean, I've stuck my neck out for this company. I have driven hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles for free. I'm talking about deadhead miles, which I don't get paid for. I've driven hundreds of miles for no reason for free for this company. Why? Because I get a dispatch, I'll get a load put on me that's over 100 miles away. I'll drive over there to pick it up, and then come to find out whenever I get there that the load's gone. It was given to another company, and then I'm shit out of luck. And I realize I just wasted hours of my time driving this truck around for free. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about when I said I've been through things that owner-operators go through, but I'm not getting paid like an owner-operator. I'm getting paid like a company driver with a really shitty job. I've had to do sketchy things. I've had extremely early starts. Like in the morning, I start my shift really freaking early, get my work done, and then I get a dispatch to go pick a load up late at night where I barely have enough time to get to the damn place. And then I'm sitting there waiting to get loaded. I'm running out of time. I actually run out of time on my hours of service clock. And then I have to explain to this company's customers, begging them, please let me park here. Please let me take my break here on your property. Or if nothing else, right outside your property. I don't have time left. I can't get back on the road. I can't drive. Granted, I'm working, guys. I'm securing the load as they put it on the trailer, out of time, doing yard moves to move around on their property, which is not illegal to do that. It's not illegal to do that, but it would be illegal for me to get back on the road and drive anymore. And these people, they're looking at me like, what the hell is wrong with you? If you're out of time, why the hell are you here? Why do you have this load on you if you don't have any time left? And that's when I have to explain to them, I'm not a human being, I'm a tool. Because my company doesn't see me as a human being, they see me as a tool for them to use to make profit with. So all the shit that they put me through, you know, like I said, this guy, he has no trouble sleeping at night knowing that he's putting me through this shit. And for the longest time, he has known that he can get away with it. Why? Because I was in the SAP program. Because I couldn't get a job anywhere else. Nobody else would hire me. And so guys, that's another thing that happens to SAP drivers. They're so desperate to find work that they'll take a job with any company that'll give them a job. And then when they get with that company, they realize the abuse that's gonna happen, that's gonna go on. And they know that there's nothing that they can do about it if they want to remain as a truck driver. And guys, I can't express to you how heavy. That blow to me was whenever I made that last video telling you guys that I had finished the SAP program and have been looking for another job, only to find out that they're just repeating the same thing that they did last year when I was looking for a job. 1 year of time, I'm talking about 1 year of straight up hell for me as a truck driver. I put up with it patiently, and I've remained faithful to all of it. And I've kept my mouth shut. I've kept silent for the longest time, trying to protect myself and trying to get through this damn program that is supposedly supposed to help people overcome things. And that has not been the case for me whatsoever. It's done psychological damage to me. This kind of abuse that I'm talking about. And there's been absolutely nothing that I can do about it. What can I do about it? Report the company to the FMCSA? Go to the labor department? I mean, what can I do about this? If I do that, I'm not going to have a job. So guys, I haven't been able to think about myself. Anytime I try to think about myself, I'm this close to giving my boss the middle finger and saying I'm done. But the one thing that has kept me in it and motivated me to keep going is my children, knowing that they need me to be there for them, to support them. And so like I said in my last video, I've been fighting for my family. And this whole process, this has been very real to me. I know I make these silly YouTube videos and everything, but the shit that I'm talking about, it's real. It's reality. It's my reality. So, for anybody out there that thinks I'm a terrible person for what I did, you're gonna sit there with your arms crossed and point your finger at me and say you reap what you sow, boy. If that's the way you think about this, that I deserve this kind of treatment for what I did, I feel sorry for the people that have relationships with you in your life. If that's the way you think. But guys, if I honestly believed for 1 second that I was alone in this situation that I'm in, that everything that I just described to you, it's a nightmare. But if I honestly believed that I was alone, I never would have made it this far. I'm not alone. And I'm not doing this in my own strength. And I don't know, I don't know what's going to come of all of this, but I'm sick and tired of looking at all the circumstances and letting it eat me up inside. I'm just going to say that everything happens for a reason, and our Creator is working all things for our good, and He's holding all things together, including the darkness. He's even holding the darkness together. He's even in the darkness with us. He became darkness for us. He took on our darkness and paid for it. And guys, this is the only thing that's gotten me through the past year. There's no way I could have gotten through this in my own strength. No way. It never would have happened. Like I said, it is the evidence that has echoed throughout my entire lifetime of knowing that I'm not the one that's in control. It's that higher, greater power. It's love itself that's holding all of this together. keeping it from flying apart right now. It's that, and it's the love that I have for my children that has kept me stable and put together. And I don't say that lightly either, because I have come apart at some points. I've lost it on multiple occasions. But guess what? Even whenever I have lost it and lost touch and felt like I was spinning out of control and hit rock bottom, you know what the past year has helped me realize? That what I would call rock bottom, you know, that black hole that each person has inside of themselves, that area of pain that we try to avoid that's inside of ourselves. We're always trying to get away from it. I know that's how I am. I'm always trying to avoid it. I'm always trying to get away from it. I think the hellacious reality of the circumstances I've been in over the past year, it's helped me realize that running does no good. It does you no good to run away from your pain or your fear. That does no good. So instead of running away from it, I've faced it. I decided to face my pain, my fear, my torment, my anxiety, all of it. I've chosen to face it. And you know what I've realized? Rock bottom for me is not rock bottom, because there's something underneath that lowest point of myself. I've discovered that at the deepest, darkest place within the well of my being, I've still found the presence of God. God is even there. He's below my rock bottom. He's actually holding my rock bottom up and holding me together. No matter how bad it's gotten, no matter how bad I've lost it, no matter how bad the choices that I've made have been at some points, some of my reactions, some of the things I've said, some of the things I've done, and felt justified doing even. I realized that I have met my Creator at the worst part of myself and stood there face to face with Him and experienced love at that deep of a level. And I can't express to you guys how amazing that has been for me. Now, you might read stories or hear tales or watch movies about people that have really overcome, gone through extremely difficult situations in their lives and overcame things and healed wounds, great wounds within them have been healed. I know I have. I've read books, I've watched movies, you know, I've heard about these things, but never did it impact me so great as to when I actually experienced it myself. Not only have I gotten love and support from God, I'm talking about the Trinity, I'm talking about Father, Son, Holy Spirit, that I know is inside of me, and I didn't put this unified force within me. It's always been in me. It's in every human being. I didn't put Him there. He's just there. Not only have I grown closer in my relationship with my Creator, but I've also gained wisdom from my Creator out of all of this. And so now I can kind of identify certain things that I don't feel like I used to be able to identify. That's why I would be bold enough to make the claim that I made in the last video about this transportation industry and how they have a facade or an idol called safety that they expect everybody to bow down and worship as a distraction so that they can get away with being as greedy as they want to be. And guys, the last thing I want to say about all this is the way that I view the transportation industry as a whole. I think it's a mirror image of religion. It is its own type of religion. Safety is their facade that they'll hide behind, they'll use to shield themselves and use to prevent exposure, to cover up anything that they want to hide about themselves, while all along trying to brainwash you into their mantra of safety, rules, and regulations. And the main thing I want to say about all this is that I don't agree with the way that the transportation industry operates. And when I say that it mirrors religion, I think that a lot of it is based off of religion. And I think that's where a lot of the rules and the regulations came from. You could compare it to religion, and maybe I'll do that at another time in another video. But what I mainly want to say is this industry dehumanizes human beings. That in order to be a part of this industry, included in it and considered legitimate, you have to become dehumanized to a certain extent. And that's exactly why they're not going to look at my circumstances or my situation or any of the details, including my safe track record. They're not going to take any of that into consideration and offer me a better job than the one that I have right now. Because in order for them to operate in the way that they do operate, like I said, the human aspect, the human element has to be taken out of it. And that's when, as truck drivers, we all just become numbers. We all just become numbers with track records. And that's the first thing they want to know. That's the first thing they want to know about you. If you do apply for a new job, that's going to be the first thing that they ask about, is your track record. Is all of your paperwork in order? Do you have this? Do you have that? Do you qualify? They don't want to meet you. They don't want to see your face. They don't want to make face-to-face contact with you. They want to completely eliminate the relational aspect out of it. You know, the human element. They want to take all of that out of it. And instead of looking at you as a human being, they want to look at all of your records. Because they don't want to know who you really are. They just want to know what you've done. To them, what you've done is more important than who you are. And I have to say that when it comes to our Creator, who you are is a hell of a lot more important than what you've done. So they're actually in opposition to our Creator. And the funny thing about it is, all this record keeping, think about all the expenses, all the money that like the FMCSA, the insurance companies, and the carrier companies spend on record keeping. Think about how much all that costs to keep up with all that shit. But they're willing to pay it because to them, what you've done is more important than who you are. And that's why they won't give me a job. It's because they're not concerned with who I am. And they're not concerned with what the past year has turned me into, or what I've become from this past year. Like I said before, I think ultimately I've become somewhat of a stronger person that's more insightful. I think I've gained some wisdom by going through this. I really do. But they don't want to know about any of that. They don't care about any of that. All they care about is my record, and they don't even care about the majority of my record. All they care about is that one failure that I have on my record. That's enough for them to say, nope, not us. We can't do anything with you. So it doesn't really come down to how productive you can be. All it comes down to is, what have you done in the past to screw up? Because that's way more of a big deal to them than who you actually are. And I guess they think, just like religion thinks this, I guess they think that your track record is the most important thing. I want to break in here real quick with another idea that came to mind to me. Another thing that I could use to compare the trucking industry with religion. Because I see this on a psychological level in the industry. And guys, they have brainwashed us to such a level and such an extent that we are literally constantly looking at ourselves and judging ourselves, because we're measured on so many different levels in so many different ways. We are pretty much psychologically tuned to think and act in a way that they have complete control over. And I'm not saying that like using that in a blanket kind of way, because I realize that there is a specific strategy. There is a formula and a method to do the job. But I don't mean like that. I don't mean like operation and just doing essential things as far as driving a truck. Obviously, we have to do things a certain way. If we don't, then it's not going to work. You know, that's not what I mean. What I mean is that they have us so focused on all the safety and everything that we are so self-conscious. And religion does the same thing, okay? Maybe a lot of you can't really relate to this, but I grew up in religion. I was tied to the whipping post of religion as a child. It was beat into me. And I got free from it. I did. I totally did. And it was God that actually freed me from it. But I still know all about it, just like I know all about this industry. And I'm telling you that it's very similar. Because the way that they have conditioned our minds, it has pretty much brainwashed us into being constantly self-focused and self-conscious about everything that we do. And again, they're going to use safety as an idol to control us. That's what their strategy is. But they're really all about the money. In the background, that's what's going on. That's what they're covering up. But they've done this to such an extent and such a level. We're so focused on everything that we do and making sure that we do everything perfectly. Perfectly. Flawlessly. That once we've realized that we can do it, we might get a little bit bored. Just like, I guess maybe some people in religion, they think they've actually got it down to a T. They've got it down to, I know all the standards. I know all the practices, and
And I've got it down to a T. So ultimately what happens is you become self-righteous. Religious people become self-righteous, and they start judging other people that are struggling, right? Other people that fail to meet the standard. Okay? It's the same thing in the trucking industry, because truck drivers actually get so self-conscious, so self-focused, so obsessed with doing everything right and doing everything perfectly, that once they think they've got that part of it down and got that part of it accomplished, they start looking at everybody else and judging everybody else that's doing it and watching them to make sure that they do it right. And I guess because they know how to do it, the people that don't know how to do it, or the people that have struggles with it, end up getting the backlash from other drivers. Like, drivers have actually turned on themselves. This self-righteous atmosphere in the trucking industry of becoming obsessed with how perfect you can be at doing the job has rubbed off on everybody, to the point that we're looking at and watching each other. We're looking at and watching each other very closely. And if somebody else makes a mistake, you know, if you know how to do it, you've been doing it long enough, then you know what mistake they're making. You're like, oh, that truck down there, that guy right there, he's trying to back into that space. He just turned his wheel in the wrong direction. What a moron. Okay? And this has become such a thing that there's actually YouTube channels dedicated to showing truck drivers screwing up, so that everybody else can look at it and laugh and judge and brag about how they know how to do it and they know what mistake that driver just made. Think about it. It's the same freaking thing in religion, okay? It really is. So that's the point that I wanted to make. That was the extra thought or idea that I wanted to add into what I'm talking about.
They honestly believe that they are doing the work of God. Some of them, they probably think that. Just like the religious authorities, you know, feel like that their record keeping is actually providing God with a service. I guess, you know, the FMCSA, the insurance companies, and the carrier companies, they believe that they're doing God a service, and they're doing other human beings, they're doing society a service by keeping up with all these records. So the records become the most important thing, instead of the people where those records came from. The records themselves are the most important things. This is all about legalism. It's all about qualification. Does any of that make sense? I hope it does. That's really all I have to say right now. But I just wanted to kind of put religion and the transportation industry into the same bag and kind of compare them so that you guys can see the fallacy in this. In order to become a truck driver, you have to become dehumanized. You have to become a tool to be used. And you know what? I think most truck drivers, though they might describe it in a different way, I think most truck drivers that have been around for considerable periods of time, I'm sure that they have come to realize this and they understand it. And maybe that's another reason why the vast majority of the industry wants to hire new drivers. Because they know that the drivers that have been out there, been around for a long time, can no longer be manipulated in that way. Like they have lost their naivety. A lot of them have become stoic even, but they've been used. These individuals, these truck drivers that have sacrificed huge parts of their lives over huge spans of time. They have been used as tools by these giant corporations. They have poured their lives out in service. They have sacrificed themselves on the altar of their career, given just everything that they had in them. They gave it up to an industry that ultimately is going to chalk your entire humanity up into a record book, that they keep on you. And that's just the plain hard truth right there. In order to be a truck driver, you have to be self-sacrificial. If you're not, there's no way you can hold down a job in this industry. But think about it, you're not just sacrificing your own life for the sake of the industry, you're sacrificing relationships with the people that mean the most to you just to do the job. And guys, honestly, that's why I don't really feel that bad about what I did. It was kind of just a reaction that I had. It was a bad choice and it was a mistake, but it was really just a reaction. It wasn't an impulsion, and it wasn't something that I just decided I wanted to do one day. No, I was in the moment of reacting to trauma, and that's what led me to make the choice to do what I did to begin with. So I'll leave you guys with that. Think about what I'm saying. Let me know if you agree with me. Thanks for checking out my channel, and come back to see me again. Leave comments, leave a like if you can appreciate where I'm coming from, and I'll catch you guys next time. All right, later.
Well, guys, some real shit just went down. Okay, you guys that actually watch my channel, that have seen a good bit of my videos, that have been truck drivers for a long time, that have dealt with companies like this one before, maybe you can relate to where I'm coming from. Small companies, in the vast sea of commerce out there in the transportation industry, this little bitty company it's like a speck. And I get that, and I get that that the company I work for, he's very limited. He's depending on me. He's got one other driver on the road. That driver is probably in his mid-70s from what I can tell. I didn't ask him how old he is. Like, I feel like that might offend him. One of those guys, they're straight up got diesel in his blood kind of guys. I'm not like that. I've already told you guys I don't like being a truck driver, and I'm about to give you one good reason why I don't like being a truck driver. And I don't say that to offend anybody. Like I said before, if you guys feel that way, if you feel like you're born to do this, I respect you and I admire you, and I also envy you, because I don't feel like I was born to do this. I don't. Just because I know how to do it doesn't mean I like doing it, or that I even want to do it. But let me get to the point. I'll repeat what I said at the beginning of the video, that he just throws stuff at me. He doesn't take time into consideration. He just throws stuff at me, and he does not respect my hours of service. I think maybe part of him, maybe deep down somewhere within his thick head, maybe part of him is still wondering if, or wishing that I would just say screw it and go balls to the wall and get back on the road when I'm about to run out of freaking time, for the sake of his business. And I think maybe that might be one of the reasons why he does it. Maybe that's how he operates when he's driving. You know, maybe he's thinking about it like that. Well, if it were up to me, I'd take that load and run with it, you know. But I'm not going to do that. And I'm damn sure not going to do that for him. He's not worth it. And it's not worth putting my CDL on the line. Guys, I'm in Tupelo, Mississippi. I came over here from Troutman, North Carolina. That's north of Charlotte. I got up at 3 o'clock this morning, got on the road. I've been going non-freaking stop except to take a 30-minute break. Got over here at about 2:30. It's about an hour ago I got over here to deliver. This load was supposed to be delivered at 8 o'clock this morning. Okay. The load that I delivered before this one had to deliver in North Carolina, Statesville. And that load was supposed to be delivered last Friday, but it was late because of the hurricane holding me up. I picked it up a day late and I delivered it, you know, a day late, a business day late. It sat in our yard over the weekend while I went home and took my off-duty time. I got it there as quick as I could yesterday. I got up at 2 yesterday morning, Monday morning, and went to work. And I got into Statesville at about 10:30 and went down and I picked this load up. Actually, I picked this load up in Statesville. It wasn't Troutman. So it was actually further away from Charlotte where I picked it up. I sat there, including the time that it took me to strap and tarp it, which only took about 40 or so minutes to do. I sat there waiting to get loaded for altogether, all the time included, about 5 hours. By the time I was done and headed out of the shipper, I was about to run out of time. Like I said, I started my clock at just after 2 and barely even had enough time to get down to Troutman. There's a Pilot in Troutman, North Carolina. That's where I stayed. I had to pay for parking. There weren't any more spaces left. Well, that upset him that I had to use the fuel card to pay for parking. Well, I'm not the one that set myself up for this disaster. And I understand that it was out of his control. He didn't have any control over the fact that the shipper took 5 hours to load me yesterday. Fine. 4 hours and 20 minutes. The other 40 minutes, like I said, I spent securing the load and tarping it. I got up as early as I could this morning at about 3 and got on the road and drove over here nonstop. I drove damn near 700 miles today. And I got over here, like I said, I was supposed to be over here at 8 o'clock in the morning, this morning. I didn't get here until 2:30. I've got the broker calling me, fussing me out because I'm so late. Just giving me a hard time. I'm sitting here, I'm driving my ass off. I mean, this guy, he's working the dog shit out of me. I'm trying to get the job done. I've got the broker calling me, giving me a hard time about it. She should be calling my office, talking to the asshole that set the load up. So I called him and I was like, okay, I'm just wondering, you know, what time was this load supposed to be delivered? Why are you dispatching me with all these impossible loads? Why am I getting impossible dispatches? Why are you doing this to me? You're making me look like a fool, and you're also making yourself look bad amongst your customers. And he's like, well, I'm just trying to make up for the fact that you sat in a hurricane last week. Guys, I've actually got a video, I haven't uploaded it yet, where I had to go to Louisiana last week and I got stuck in Hurricane Francine. I wasn't in it, I was like right next to it. If you watch the video, you'll see how close I was to it. It was crazy how close I was to Hurricane Francine. And the delivery that I was supposed to make that day in Louisiana, the customer had shut down for the hurricane, so they refused their load that day. I had to sit at a truck stop for 24 hours before I could deliver it. And he's still, he's still acting like we're running a day behind. And I'm sure he's probably acting that way for good reason. Like, it's probably a big deal. It's probably a big financial impact if I have to sit at a truck stop because of a hurricane. Well, I'm not the one that sent my ass down to Louisiana in freaking September. I mean, think about it. You're not setting me up for very good odds by doing that to begin with. You should have thought about it a little bit harder before you decided to pull that trigger, sir. So anyway, he's got another load for me to go pick up, some steel to go pick up in Iuka, Mississippi, which is about 50 miles away from here, where I'm at right now. I was supposed to go pick that up by 5 o'clock today. So he knew how far behind I was running yesterday. He knew that I wasn't going to make it to get loaded today after I delivered this load. Hell, I barely made it over here to make that delivery today. Thankfully, there was a truck stop right across the street from the place I delivered, so I'm thankful for that. I got a parking spot over here. Well, when I talked to him on the phone earlier, and he told me about this load coming out of Iuka, which is going right back over there to North Carolina where I just came from. And he's like, it's a good paying load. I want you to get it. I don't want you to miss out on it. I'm like, okay. And he's like, so because of that, I haven't called them to tell them that you're not going to make it over there to get loaded today. I'm going to wait till the last minute to let them know that you're not going to make it. So I was like, okay. So you're doing that because why now? And he's like, if I call them right now and let them know that you're not going to make it, they're going to give the load to somebody else that can make it on time. Okay, great. That's how it should work. I mean, let's be logical here, dude. If we're not going to make it by their cutoff time, then we don't need to mislead them. We don't need to give them the freaking runaround. So now, I'm in another messed up situation. I'm sitting at a truck stop. I'm out of time. I've got these people expecting me to go pick this load up today. He won't tell them the truth that he overbooked my ass and put too much work on me at once because he's trying to catch up. No, he just mindlessly set all this shit up, knowing how far away North Carolina and Mississippi are from each other and how long it takes to drive back and forth. Knowing that these are loads that are going to take time to get loaded and get secured. They're both tarp loads. Okay? And knowing that I got held up at the shipper yesterday. So he told me that. He's like, I'm going to let them know that you're not going to make it until tomorrow morning. And I was like, okay, well, that's fine. I can be there early. They open at 6 a.m. I'll be there sitting at the gate at 6 o'clock sharp in the morning. I can do that. I can do that. That's fine. Well, I get over here to make this delivery, and he calls me. And he's like, okay, the broker for the steel load coming out of Iuka is going to probably give you a call, and what I need you to do is let them know that you're being held up at the receiver over here in Tupelo, and that you're going to do your best to make it over there today. And as soon as he said that, it triggered all this bad juju in our past history of trying to work together. Because this isn't the first time he's pulled this shit on me. This isn't the first time that he's tried to push me beyond my hours of service to get something done. For this. no regard to me as a person. I'm just his tool. Like I said earlier. I said that before any of this shit even happened. I'm just a tool for this. For him. Not for me, for him. I need you to talk to them and tell them that you're being held up at the receiver, that you're going to do your best to make it there today. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to mislead your customers for you. You don't pay me. You don't even pay me enough to do the shit that I already do. But you damn sure don't pay me to deflect your customers and mislead them so that you don't miss out on a load. Now, guys, tell me if that's why I'm driving a truck right now that's 16 years old with over 1 million miles on it. Tell me that's not why he can't grow his freaking business. So what I want to know, and I'm sorry for talking so long, but what I want to know from you guys is, do you guys think this is okay? Is this legit? Is this normal? Do small companies run their businesses like this? Is everybody this freaking shady? And just misleading customers? Like, no, you're blatantly misleading these people that are depending on you and your word when you say that you're going to get something done, knowing that you don't have the resources to get it done. You're going to mislead them anyway and make them think that you're going to do something that you're actually not going to do. That is shitty. That's a shitty way to treat your customers. So guys, that's just an example. If he treats his customers that way, how the hell do you think he treats me? This is this guy's logic. I'm not doing this to judge him. I'm doing this to expose the kind of situation that I'm in. And I've been trapped in it for the past year. And we got in a big fight. And I basically came down to telling him, no, dude, you're not going to abuse my CDL anymore. I finally stood up for myself. I was like, you're not going to abuse my CDL anymore. We've been through this before, and I'm not going to deceive your customers. You don't pay me to do that, and I'm not going to do that. He starts yelling at me, and he hangs up on me. And I haven't heard back from him since. So if we miss out on that load, he's going to blame me for it, for not playing his stupid ass games. No, dude, you don't pay me. You don't pay me to play your games. I'm not playing your stupid ass games. That's not how I roll. I respect people. I'm not going to deceive somebody. I'm not going to mislead somebody. That is dirty. That is a dirty freaking way to do business. And that's the way that he does business. And like I said in previous videos, choices that he makes affect me. Because the customers, now if I do actually go pick this load up in the morning, they're going to be livid. They're going to be boiling over in frustration, and they're going to take it all out on me. They're going to take it all out on me like it's my fault, like I have any control over the decisions that he makes. See, he doesn't have to deal with any of the freaking consequences. That's why he does do the shit that he does. Because it doesn't affect him, it affects me. When he makes stupid choices, it affects me. That's why I have something on my PSP score right now. Because I got a roadside inspection last week in Louisiana, and the freaking officer called me out for something that I told him about on this truck a year ago when I started working here. I told him about it, and he was just like, oh, it's fine, blah, blah, blah. And now it's on my record. Guys, I'm serious. Like, I don't know how much more of this I can take. I really don't. I've done things, I've said things that I regret, you know. I've felt emotions that I don't ever want to feel again with this job. And this past year, it's been the hardest freaking year of my life so far. I'm almost 40 years old. And this past year, it's been the hardest year of my life. And like I said, I've survived. I have my sanity. But when it comes to making choices, right and wrong, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to stand up and I'm going to be true. I'm going to be authentic. I'm not going to freaking mislead people. And maybe I don't know, guys. Let me know what you think. That's why I'm asking, like, truck drivers with experience that have ran small businesses or worked for small companies. Is that right? Do you think that the choice I'm making to not mislead his customers is right? Or do you think he's justified for lying to his freaking customers? You see, I don't want to judge him. I'm not sure the details or the kind of heavy stress that he's under right now trying to keep his ass from going under because the market is so limited right now, and so he's already got challenges. His cargo insurance is small. We can't even haul anything that's worth like $100,000. You know, like this is just a small company. Like I said, it's a speck in the vast sea of all the commerce out there, all the businesses that are out there. And I'm sure he's under stress, he's under pressure, and he's trying to keep from going under. But that doesn't mean that he can take advantage of me more than he already has. And that doesn't mean that he should lie to people or try to get his freaking employees to lie to people. That's dirty. That's dirty. You guys can let me know what you think, but I don't think anything's going to change my mind. I feel like I'm right in this situation. And it just confirms to me that, like, everything that I suspected about this dude, I was more or less right about. And it sucks, guys. I've invested so much time, so much effort, so much energy into this job. And this guy, he's just setting me up for failure over and over and over again. It's frustrating. I gotta find a way out. I've got to get out of this. It's not good for me at all. It's no good. It's not healthy. And I don't know, guys, I'll be honest with you. He was pretty pissed off at me. I may have just lost my job. I don't know. I mean, from this point on, he might be just try to take me out. He might try to sabotage me. And if there was any bridge there, I probably just burned it by refusing to lie to his customers for him. You know? But I'm going to stand up for what's right. You know, just like I'm not going to let him manipulate me into cheating on my hours of service or anything like that. I'm going to stand true. And I've already exposed him at this point. You guys know what's going on. This has been going on the whole time. I haven't cheated on my hours of service. You know, I put my foot down every single time, and I refuse to break the rules. It's not worth it to me. That was the first thing he did. He starts yelling at me. He's like, I'm not telling you to drive. I'm not telling you to get back on the road. I'm telling you to deflect the customer. Well, you don't pay me to do that, so I'm not going to do that. Guys, I'll see you next time. Just be thinking about me, hoping that I get me another job here pretty soon, because I can't play these games. I can't play his games anymore. I can't. Tomorrow's another day. I'll get over this. I'll see you guys next time. Later.